Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wealth Guardian Show. My name is Doug Ray, and my co-host is Brice Payne. Here with you this morning, welcome you into the show, and I think we got a good one for you. We got questions. Brice, how you doing today?
Well, I'm doing okay. I didn't get blown away, but I don't think anybody in our neighborhood around here got blown away last week with the hurricane coming through. Elias, I never could say the name.
I don't even try.
Elias. But I was a little disappointed. I like to see a little bit of fun weather, and at least in our part out here, no wind at all. But you've got some friends out on the coast. How'd they do?
Well, we've got a lot of clients that have homes down there, especially Oak Island. And I guess Oak Island really got hit pretty hard, and it was only a tropical storm, Cat 1. But
Cat 1,
yeah. It just came aboard at what essentially was a full moon, high tide. So the storm surge was tremendous, apparently.
Wow.
So anyway.
Well, hopefully everybody out there, if you have property out that way, hopefully it fared okay for you. So fingers crossed that everybody ended up not getting too much damage done there. And but it's the weekend now, and Doug, you and I have a great show here, but we want to give a tip of the hat, as we always do, to our first responders, our men and women in military and their families, for all that they do to help us ensure we continue to have the freedoms that we have. So if you're out there, folks, listening, a little salute here from Doug and myself to you all for everything that you do. Thank you very much.
Amen.
And so we've got listener questions this week. It's that time of the month. Listener questions once a month. And Doug, we'll go ahead and start it off here with Ralph in Lexington. And Ralph says, Doug, I'm being forced into an early retirement at 57 from my job with the state. And I'm sorry to hear that, Ralph. You are not alone in that situation. I'll have my pension, but that alone will not be enough to live on. Do I need to find another job since I'm too young for Social Security, or to withdraw from my IRAs? Well, Doug?
Well, so many people are in the same situation. I bet we're seeing probably one a week.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
And the first thing I'd do, Ralph, is I'd invite you to come in and sit down and talk with us, and let's put everything down on paper and pencil. A couple things do come to mind. Yes, you're, 56, 57.
57.
So withdrawing from your IRAs is going to be probably something you don't want to do because of the 10% early distribution penalty, although
CARES Act.
This year the CARES Act has removed that. State does have a 401k, so if you contributed to that, then you can withdraw from that without the 10% early distribution penalty even next year if CARES Act goes away. But honestly, you need some professional help. And, I believe there's nobody better in the area than Brice and myself in retirement planning. So I'd invite you to come in. Just give Joy a ring at 336-391-3409 and schedule your appointment.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to, Ralph, what kind of savings you've amassed for yourself and what kind of income can we generate for you on that, and then what are your expense needs in retirement. So once we plug those numbers into the equation, we'll be able to get you those answers and see if you do need to look for another job, or if maybe you're fortunate enough to be in a position where you don't need to do that. Okay, well, appreciate it. Next we have Frank in Winston-Salem, and Frank says, Doug, can you explain the rule of 100? Is it something that you believe in?
Well, I'm going to let you go to bat on that one, Brice.
Well, the rule of 100, Frank, and thank you for the question, is that you want to lower your risk the older that you get and the closer that you get to retirement. And a rule of thumb, it's a starting point, if you will, is that you take 100, you subtract your age from it. So if you're 60, that would leave you with 40. Well, 40 is the amount of assets in your retirement nest egg that you've accumulated for yourself, hopefully over the last 40 years or so, that are okay to be at risk, susceptible to some losses. You generally want to tone that down the closer you get to retirement. So if you're 20 or 30 or 40, you can have a lot more of your assets at risk because it is not a source of income or anywhere close to being a source of income for you at that point. You've still got the paychecks coming in. But it's just a way of understanding how you turn that dial from risky investments to more moderate and safe investments as you approach retirement. Because the idea is that you want to start protecting what you've built for yourself. So there's the wealth accumulation phase of life, and then you move into the wealth protection and then wealth distribution phase of life. And you don't want to be as risky when you're 60 as you were when you were 30. And that's really what it comes down to. So Frank, appreciate the question. And thank you. Hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah, it's just a guideline. It's a rule of thumb, and no, it's not a hard and fast rule we go by, but
right.
It certainly does help guide us in the right direction.
It's a starting point.
We do believe that retired folks need to be safer with their money. My guess is that you can probably identify with some of the stories we've shared with you on the show over a period of time. Maybe there's a particular question we covered that struck a chord with you, or perhaps we didn't cover something that's on your mind, but you have a burning financial question and you're wondering if we can help.
Yeah, if any of those things are true, then Doug and I encourage you to give us a call now. We love hearing from our listeners, and many of you just have a simple question, and sometimes we end up being able to help you put together a full-blown financial plan. We're here to help you gain more confidence in your financial plan, but the catch is that you have to be the one to start the conversation. Doug and I don't do outbound calls to just random people out there. So, Doug, they can give us a call right now.
Yeah, go ahead. Pick up the phone. Leave a voicemail. What's on your mind? Let us know you're interested in having a complimentary financial review. We're going to call you back on a Monday morning, so schedule that visit. When you come in, here's what you can expect. In addition to us spending some time getting to know each other, we're going to analyze your current portfolio. We'll run a fee report to see what the plan is costing you. We'll analyze inflation's impact on your plan 20, 30 years down the road. And if you haven't considered the impact of taxes on your retirement, then we'll make sure your new plan takes the possibility of likely rising taxes seriously. This is how you can get a much more accurate look at your financial and retirement health. And it's how you get answers to those burning questions that are on your mind. Now, Brice is going to tell you how to get in touch, and we can't wait to visit with you.
All you got to do, folks, is just give us a call at 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. Or you can get your free second opinion review online at thewealthguardians.com and click the blue button. Again, that's thewealthguardians.com and click the blue button. And by the way, you don't have to meet with us in person. I know these are strange times. We can do a phone conference with you, or we can set up a webinar with you as well. Lots of different ways to meet with us. So if it sounds interesting to you, please do give us a call. All right, Doug, let's get back to the questions here for the month. And Christy writes in. She's in Clemens, so she's close to us. Christy says, Doug and Brice, I'm about to get married this summer. All right. Congratulations, Christy, and best wishes to the other gentlemen out there. It will be a second marriage for both of us. Are there any financial issues I should be thinking about before entering into a second marriage like this? Well, that's a really good question, Christy, and I'm sure that you are not alone out there. There are some things that you want to consider, Doug.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you. Yeah, and we've got a lot of clients that are in second marriages, and there really are. It goes beyond financial.
There's different ways to approach it.
It really is. I mean, some people want to keep all their finances separate. Others don't mind joining the pot together. It really depends. And these are things that you and your fiance need to actually talk about before you tie the knot, because it potentially could be a stumbling block down the road for you. So, yeah. Hey, congratulations on the marriage, but do talk to one another about your financial situation and how you want to handle it. And if we can be of service, just give us a call.
I would say one thing that you want to consider, Christy, if either of you have or both of you have kids, it might be prudent to make sure that your wills are up to date and that you might have some kind of trust or estate plan in place, just to make sure that your assets are going where you want them to go and his assets are going where he wants them to go, and that eliminates any chance for future roadblocks or hurdles down the road in your absence or your husband's absence. So best of luck to you both.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Doug.
Is it trivia time?
It's trivia time.
Yeah.
All right. So
stump me again.
Well, yeah, I think I will, actually.
You're doing a good roll there.
Well, all right. Well, this week is Francis Scott Key's birthday. He was born on August 1st, 1779, so that would make him 241 years old today. And Doug, you know why Francis Scott Key is famous.
Sure.
He wrote the Star-Spangled Banner after witnessing the British Navy bombardment of Fort McHenry on September 13th and 14th of 1814. So the next morning, he was so elated to still see the U.S. flag there when dawn came about that he wrote a poem later to be called the Star-Spangled Banner. And our trivia question is this week, what was that poem originally called, and when did it become our national anthem?
Oh, that's a good question.
I like these kind of U.S. history kind of questions. So, folks out there, what was the original name of the Star-Spangled Banner? It was not the Star-Spangled Banner. And when did it officially become the United States' national anthem? Now, before we go to break, I think we've got time, Doug, for one more quick question here.
Okay.
And this is Trinity in Kernersville, and she asks you specifically, Doug, which of my accounts should I withdraw from first when I retire? My 401k, my Roth, or my IRA, or my brokerage account that mainly consists of mutual funds, or the extra cash I have in the bank? Now, this is a really good question.
It is, but you know what my favorite answer is?
It depends.
It depends.
It depends. But the fact that she's thinking of this is really important, because a lot of people will think, yeah, I've got IRA money, I've got Roth money, but in their head they think of it as all one jumbled pot of money, and it is not.
It is not.
If you withdraw from them correctly, Trinity, you can keep yourself in lower tax brackets and not accidentally kick yourself up to additional tax brackets. Additionally, you can do Roth conversions in retirement to keep that proper balance going between them. Folks, we've got a break coming up here, but we will be back to you after this with the answer to that trivia question. And Trinity, thank you for that question. You know, there's no doubt that COVID-19 has created chaos. And yet the truth is, life goes on. I'm Brice Payne of the Wealth Guardian Show, and I'm not letting the virus stop me or us from sharing important information that could impact your retirement lifestyle. You know, when it comes to filing for Social Security, we don't want you to leave any money on the table. Do you know which filing strategy will let you pocket the most money over your lifetime? Well, go to thewealthguardians.com, watch our free Social Security webinar, anytime, anywhere. We'll cover strategies to maximize Social Security, minimize taxes, and build a strong foundation for retirement income. Even in this crazy COVID world, we can help you retire the job and keep the paycheck. Go to the events tab at thewealthguardians.com. That's thewealthguardians.com, or give us a call at 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. And welcome back to the Wealth Guardians Radio Show. Thank you for sticking around through the break. I'm Brice here with Doug Ray, and we've got some answers to your trivia question that we asked at the beginning before we went into the break there. But, you know, for anybody out there who's listening, if you're 5 to 7 years from retirement and you want to confirm that you're making the best decisions for your retirement that you can, well, the good news is that we offer a no-cost, no-obligation second review so you can understand how you retire the job, yet you keep the paycheck. The first thing you got to do is pick up the phone and give us a call at 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. We'd look forward to hearing from you. Now, like I said, before we went into the break, we had a trivia question. And that trivia question, Doug, was, what was the Star-Spangled Banner originally called before it was called the Star-Spangled Banner? It was written by Francis Scott Key, who had his 241st birthday this week, and it was written in 1814 after he watched the British Navy bombardment of Fort McHenry. So it actually had nothing to do with the Revolutionary War. It had to do with after the fact. So, Doug, what was the Star-Spangled Banner originally called?
You know, I do think I remember learning this answer way back in my Boy Scout days.
Okay.
But honestly, I've totally forgot.
Well, I will be perfectly honest. I'll come clean here as well. I did not even know that wasn't the original name of it, so I had to look this up, and it was actually called Defense of Fort McHenry.
Really?
Pretty easy.
Yeah,
pretty easy.
Right.
That was a softball for anybody out there, but not a complicated name. But the second part of the trivia question was, when did it become our national anthem? Do you want to take a stab at that? Let's see how close you are, how far off you are.
All right. How about Civil War?
No. It actually did not become officially our national anthem until 1931.
Really?
1931. Here's the interesting thing that I did not know. I had always assumed that America the Beautiful was our national anthem before that? It was not. Interesting side note here, 1931 was the first time we ever had an official national anthem. However, what was used as the national anthem before 1931 was a song called Hail Columbia. So here's another question for you. Since they retired Hail Columbia, they've put it to another use. What is that use?
I have no idea.
You can think of the name, Hail
Columbia.
All right, what is Hail to the Chief used for?
Well, for the president.
Okay, the intro of the president. Whenever he enters a room,
Right.
they play Hail to the Chief. What would Hail Columbia be used for?
When you go to Columbia?
No. When Pence or whoever the vice president is walks into a room, they play the song Hail Columbia.
Okay.
Well, that song was unofficially our national anthem for a number of years.
Good one, Brice.
There you go, folks. I'm not completely useless. So that was our trivia question. Folks, thank you. And let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of our second show. And what we're going to be talking about this time around is some easy ways to ruin your retirement. You know, Doug and I sit down with several clients a week, and a lot of them have what they think are some really good ideas on how to keep retirement going, on operating on all cylinders for them. And there are some things you absolutely do not want to do. And just the first one off the top of my head is do not invest 75% of your assets in silver mines. Anyway.
Although that's working right now.
Maybe right now it is, but when it goes from $1 million down to $250,000, you've got a long way to go to get back up.
That's a true story, folks.
So everyone has read blogs, they've watched shows, they've listened to people talk about all the key ways to improve or succeed in retirement. But what about how you can mess it all up? So let's tackle, we'll see how many we can get to here, 4 or 5 easy ways to ruin your retirement. And then all you got to do is just do the opposite of these things. And in theory, you'll be fine, right? So Doug, the first one is treating retirement as if it was the destination rather than the beginning of another part of life. I agree with that one entirely.
I do too. I mean, yeah, look, it's easy when you're still working to think of retirement's going to be the end goal. You're busting your butt right now to get to retirement, but that's not the end at all. I mean, in fact, retirement should be the time where you get to enjoy life, do those fun things you've always wanted to do, take up a new hobby, volunteer yourself, get active. That's the beginning of the rest of your life.
Right. And financially, too, you still need your money to work for you. Mm-hmm. We've seen people who want to go completely into cash. If you've got enough to do that, I guess that's okay, but your money is losing buying power over the years. So you want to make sure your investments are still properly aligned and properly not taking more risk than you need to, but not taking less than either than you have to.
Exactly.
Very good. All right. Well, number 2 is believing that retirement will solve all of your problems.
Oh, everybody looks at that and says, oh my gosh, I won't have to get up in the morning and go to work and the drudgery and all that. But, look, life is life. You're going to have issues to deal with in retirement, just like you have issues to deal with now.
Some of them are going to cost money.
Some will cost money. Some won't. Some will be emotional, but it's just another chapter in your life.
Doug, what's the number one thing that we hear from our clients after we get them retired and they come in for their annual review for that first time after they've been retired for 6 months or a year? What's the first thing that they say to us, particularly the man?
Well, they say, I've got more work to do now than I ever had.
Exactly.
The honey-do list grows and grows and grows.
And with that honey-do list generally comes problems.
Right. Exactly.
So, folks, it's a different world, but it is not a problem-free world out there.
Now, let me add to that.
Okay.
We've never had anybody said that they regretted retiring.
No, they all they welcome their new life, but it was more work and it's different than what they had expected. Mm-hmm. And like I say, sometimes that comes with some costs, and we want to make sure that we help you plan for those costs.
In fact, a funny story, we retired a friend of mine, I guess it's been 5 years ago. He was relatively young, and about a year later, he comes back in for his annual review, and he's joking around. He says, you know what I found out in retirement? He said, I found out that a relatively young retiree who owns a pickup truck is a hot commodity at the church. Yes, somebody who can do some lifting and doesn't mind getting the bed scratched up a little bit. There's a lot of work to be done for somebody like that. Indeed, there is. Well, folks, we've got some more to go to here, but the fact that you're listening to this show today, it tells Doug and myself a few things about you, because you're probably like most of our clients. When it comes to taxes, you're happy to pay your fair share, but
you're willing to pay your fair share.
But not a dime more.
Nope.
You want a good return on your investments, but you're also concerned about taking way too much risk. And on the flip side, you'd be happy to ensure that you'd never lose any money, but you don't want to fall behind to inflation either.
That's a hard one.
You have more important things to worry about than trying to keep up with what the stock market is doing every day.
Yeah, and this is why it's so important to get a review of your financial situation as well as a customized retirement plan, because you can address these things that are on your mind and eliminate all that time that you spend worrying about your finances and about retirement. And you got to ask yourself, wouldn't you rather put your time and energy into something, if not anything else?
Yeah, so, if you've done a good job preparing for retirement and you want some help answering all the outstanding questions about your retirement, just give us a call. Set up that complimentary financial review. There's no cost, there's no obligation with this review. It's just a chance for us to meet, talk about things that are on your mind and find out what the best way we can plan for your retirement.
So what you got to do is you got to pick up the phone and dial 336-391-3409. It's not that hard. It's 336-391-3409. Doug and I don't bite. You can also get your free second opinion review online at thewealthguardians.com. Just click that blue button that's on there. And folks, I will also remind you that because of where we're at in 2020 right now, that we can meet with you in the office if you'd like. If you're comfortable with that, we can meet with you over the phone, or we can meet with you via GoToMeeting type of through the computer world there. Any of those three ways, we're happy to meet with you. Now, going back to what we were talking about earlier, Doug, number 3, as far as easy ways to ruin your retirement. Assuming that your monthly spending habits in retirement can easily be determined by your spending habits while you're working really does change, doesn't it?
It does. And I could spend probably the rest of the show talking about this one particular topic, because the spend need is the biggest and most important number that you give us in a retirement plan, because that is your standard of living. Our goal is for you to maintain that standard of living throughout the rest of your retirement and not run out of money. And a lot of people say, okay, I'm going to spend, a rule of thumb, 75% in retirement of what I'm spending now while I'm working. Folks, in actuality, as it turns out, you're probably going to spend more in retirement for a few years. Remember all the goals you had? The Alaska cruise, if they ever cruise again. The grandkids, Disney opened up, I think.
Yep.
Carowinds closed down for the year. But again, you're going to have a higher spend need usually. We call it, there's 3 segments to retirement. We call the first third of retirement the go-go years.
Because you're going.
You're doing the things, you're spending the money. And then the second is the slow-go years. And then the last third is the no-go years. So all of that has to be planned for in a solid retirement plan. Yeah,
and folks, if you think that your the expenses are going to be exactly the same, now think about all the things that you're putting money into now that you won't be later. A mortgage is just one easy one off the top of your head. And then there's also things that you're going to be spending on later that you're not spending on now, maybe contributing to grandkids' 529 accounts, those kind of things. So you have to be able to think these processes through, and that's what Doug and I help you do, is you don't want to falsely plan for what your budget is going to be in retirement and then figure out halfway through retirement that you were way off. We can help you figure that out right off the bat. Doug, I think we got time for one more here, and this one is easy ways to ruin your retirement. Stop being active. And that is a way to really shorten your retirement. If that's what you want is a short retirement, don't do anything.
The worst thing you can do is just sit in that rocker. The most successful retired people, our clients that we have, folks we know, are the ones that are active. Like the fellow I talked about a moment ago. He's active in church work, plus he does some 1099 work on the side. But be active. Do something. Take up a hobby. You just can't sit idle. Play with the grandkids. Gosh, they're not going to be little for long.
Right. And in a normal year, we would tell you to get out and go see some of the beautiful wonders of the country or of the world that you've always wanted to see. They're not going anywhere, but right now maybe travel is a little bit off the table, understandably, but there's a lot of things that you can get out there and do. Participate with some organizations or with your church. There's a lot of people out there that would love to get some extra hand help from some volunteers out there, and it makes you feel good about yourself.
Well, there's some great places to visit that's just a car drive away.
That's true. That's true. There really are. So you don't have to get on a plane and go somewhere. There's a lot of things that you can see and do, and the more that you do that, the more you're going to enjoy retirement. I mean, that's what you saved for the last 40 years or so, was looking forward to retiring and getting out and doing those things. So you got to make sure that you do that. Do not just become a shut-in, because that's going to ensure that you've got a really short retirement. Well, folks, we really do appreciate you spending your weekend with us here. Doug, you have a great rest of the weekend. I've got a tournament I've got to get to today. So
good luck.
Thank you very much. I'm sure I will do terribly at it. But folks, again, if you need to reach out to us, 336-391-3409. We really would look forward to helping you. 336-391-3409. Have a great rest of your weekend.